Apparently, it's Christmas time for content. I woke up a ton of articles talking about the Detroit Lions potentially getting one player, a trade for another player, and we got some news on Megatron. So this was an easy one to make a video, and I am ready to get into it. But before we get into today's video, make sure you hit that subscribe button to Lions Nation Unite. Got a lot of good content coming on here, and it's going to be fun going forward, so you don't want to miss out on any of that. Big news here on Megatron Calvin Johnson. It looks like the fences are pretty much mended there with the Lions. He got on the Jim Rohn show, and he talked about how the relationship is working great. He's ready to get with players and work and be an asset to the Detroit Lions at the facility, on and off the field. So clearly, Mike Disner, who he specifically talked about, worked it out. I'm sure he got paid. I'm sure he got some money as well to get this done. But the era of Calvin Johnson hating on the Detroit Lions looks to be over. So he's going to go into the parts of like a Barry Sanders there and becoming part of the organization in a role, whether it be like some sort of leadership role or a mentor role. But it's looking good for Calvin Johnson coming back. You know, it was a big of a stain for this football team when the drama happened with Calvin Johnson when he retired about the money, not getting paid. And then he would go to, I think at that point it was the Oakland Raiders, and he was on the sideline with other receivers. You're like, damn, you know, you want Megatron to be over here with the Detroit Lions. But it looks like, you know, time heals all wounds, and the wounds have been healed. So that's going to be good for the city of Detroit and the organization. I talked about when he retired, Jim Rohn asked him if it was predominantly, you know, the physical ailments and the lack of success in Detroit. He said it was a little bit of both, but to me, he primarily was focusing on the injuries. Hell, he said he sprained his ankle playing basketball the other day, and it's an old injury. You got to understand, he's a big guy, and so he took a lot of hits, center of attention for the Lions offense, and he's going to be dealing with physical problems for probably the rest of his life. And well, I remember when he retired, I wasn't mad about it at all. I understand it, you know, when the body gives up on you. And you're not going to put out the best work. It's not really going to look good when you know your team is not going in the right direction. At that time, it wasn't. So it's good to have him back. Hopefully his body gets better for him as the years go on, and can't wait to see him part of the organization. Let me know. Give me one word of Megatron coming back. Interesting rumor came out today when it comes to the Lions in free agency. I didn't expect this, but one of the rumors coming out here is the Detroit Lions could target Saquan Barkley as a potential suitor at the running back position. You know, as you know, the problems going on right now with the New York Giants is they have Daniel Jones, who apparently wants $45 million a year, and then you have Saquon Barkley, who's free agent, and you can't go ahead and franchise tag both of them. You just can't do it, and so you can only go one. And so the rumor is they're going to go ahead and franchise tag Daniel Jones, and if they franchise tag Daniel Jones, that means it looks like that Saquon Barkley will be on the open market. And there was 3 teams mentioned for Saquon Barkley to be part of. Chicago Bears was one, the Atlanta Falcons was the other, and the Detroit Lions is number 3. Now, if you're to sign Saquon Barkley, per spot track, it'd be a 4-year deal, $49.2 million, an annual salary of $12.3 and he's on RB rank of 6. Even though, let's be honest here, Saquon Barkley is one of the best running backs in football, arguably the best. It's not to do with his ability. It's more, can he stay healthy? And he did a lot better last year for the New York Giants on the field. Matter of fact, I call it the New York Barkleys, because without Saquon Barkley, they're not making the playoffs. He was the main part of their offense. He was the focal point of their offense. That's why everything was working. Look, I do respect what Daniel Jones did there, but make no mistake about it, Saquon Barkley was the main reason that they went to the playoffs and beat the Minnesota Vikings. It does not hurt when you have a running back that can hit the hole, and every time he hits the hole, it can go to the house. He's that dynamic. He hit the edges as well. He's fast. He's very good. Balance his ability to just make a big play is outstanding. So if the Lions were to do this, and obviously you got Jamal Williams there, you're not gonna be able to get both. He would be an immense upgrade at the running back position. I know a lot of people's going to say, don't pay this to this type of money, but just imagine him behind a legit offensive line for the Lions. Their offensive line is way better than the New York Giants, and they have a potential to even upgrade it more if they got Osiris Torrance. It would be the most ridiculous offense out there. It would be ridiculous. I don't know how you could stop it. You'd have DeAndre Swift, Saquon Barkley, a top 5 offensive line, no doubt, maybe the best one in football if you were to get like a Osiris Torrance. And then you got wide receivers, play action to Jamison Williams and Amon-Ra St. Brown. My God, it would be absolutely ridiculous. And you wouldn't be talking about, you got the best offense in the NFC North. No, you'd be competing with the San Francisco 49ers and their offense and the Philadelphia Eagles with their offense. That would be what you'd be competing against. Because if you look at the 49ers, obviously Christian McCaffrey, Deebo Samuel, hell of an offensive line as well, and they got wide receivers for sure, obviously Deebo being one of them. Then you got the Philadelphia Eagles and what they did this past year, even though they may fall a little bit because they're going to lose free agents. But you would have one of the, if not the best offense in the NFC and in the NFL. And then you would have the rest of your free agency in the draft just to focus on defense. It would be insane. And I don't know if it'll happen. I've specifically heard no rumors that the Lions were targeting him except for this article and Saquon Barkley impressed with the Lions. But other than that, I haven't heard anything like it. I must say, though, it would be intriguing, and I think if he hits the open market, you got to make a phone call, or you do got to make a phone call just to see if there's interest there and what it would look like. Another rumor came out today, and it was, like I said, rumors galore here, that this is the first time I even heard this, but rumors of this player getting traded has been heating up the past couple of days. But the rumor is the Lions could be a landing spot for Tee Higgins, the wide receiver from the Cincinnati Bengals. Now, look, he's an outstanding wide receiver, has done a phenomenal job, but he could get traded because they have to pay this guy. You know, when you're a team like the Bengals and you start doing really well, you got to start paying players. It's at some point Jamar Chase, and obviously you got to give the big paycheck to Joe Burrow, and you're going to lose good players, and one of them would be Tee Higgins. If you're to trade for Tee Higgins, you're talking about the 18th pick in the draft and maybe even a second-round pick. I think that's quite a bit, plus you have to pay for him. So I don't think this is realistic. I don't think it's an actual option here because you got to understand, just like the Bengals, they're going to eventually have to pay for all these players. And we're talking about Tee Higgins here. You'd get a big old contract. You'd have to look at Amon-Ra St. Brown at some point. It's going to get paid. Jamison Williams at some point is going to get paid. And you can't pay just every single wide receiver big-time money. I mean, that's what happened with the Calvin Johnson thing. You're starting to pay people, and you're going to have to lose good players. So you have to be fiscally responsible here, so I don't think this is a legitimate option. I think it was kind of just a dart thrown in the air here, and I'm willing to, like, if you're wanting to get a wide receiver, you don't have to get one. I mean, look, Tee Higgins, Amon-Ra St. Brown, and Jamison Williams would be absolutely nuts. It would be nuts. It would be the greatest show on turf. But at the same time, he would get a monster deal. Like, you think the Saquon Barkley money was big? It would be much bigger than that. And it would probably result in Jamison Williams or Amon-Ra St. Brown eventually not being a Detroit Lion, years down the road because of that type of contract. And I'm all about drafting our guys and paying our guys. And, I want Amon-Ra St. Brown to be here for a long time. I think he's a great wide receiver. I don't ever want to see him leave the Honolulu Blue. And when you trade up for a wide receiver like Jamison Williams, you want to see him stay here for a long time, the talent that he brings. And when you're talking about a first-round pick 18, I think you can focus on the offensive line if they do cut Big V, or you can focus on defense. It's a massive need, and you can still get a premium talent at 18 and a second-round pick. You can still get good talent there. So I'm not on this boat because it's a double-edged sword. Yeah, you're getting talent, but you got to pay this talent and you got to trade away. Now, look for it. Work for a team like the Eagles when they traded for Brown over there, but it's a little bit different. It's a little bit different, and they're starting to deal with that free agent problem. Now, I want to be a smart football team that's consistently good. I'm not all just about just doing the 1 year, big splash, Rams type of thing. I want to be a consistent quality football team, and you got to do that through the draft. It is legitimately about the draft. You get selected free agents, maybe you get one splash, but other than that, the rest is drafting your players, keeping your players, and then when you let a player go, you just redraft the position, and that's how you kind of continue to turn the roster in the correct routes. I think you start just simply trading for players and consistently doing free agency, it's eventually going to hurt your football team. So I'm not about this. I am about selected free agents, but I would say 85% draft for me. I'm all about the draft. It's why I'm not too big in trading for like a Jalen Ramsey or anything like that. I think it's just really important to go into the draft, and that's where you succeed for this football team. But that's just me. Maybe you can think completely different. Let me know in the comment section right now. What do you think about Tee Higgins potentially coming to the Lions? Give me your thoughts in the comment section. We got videos dropping every single day, so you don't have to worry about it. We are queued up for you. You will have videos on here, and we got a lot of good ideas that's going to be changing here for Lions Nation Unite. It's going to be good. With that said, folks, adios.